Hello, Receptive Radio community, conscious leaders, change makers, world changers. I'm with a world changer right now, Leah Johnson, and she is coming here today to share her story of spiritual authority, art, Mexico, being a political powerhouse, and letting that all go so that she can really do her life purpose work, her life mission, and make an impact that is of a beautiful service. And I'm so excited to learn more about you because I know you, but I don't know a lot about your story. And I'm really excited to share it with everyone here.
Thanks, Jennifer. I'm excited to be here.
Good. So tell us about, you had a high-powered political career. You have left that. So tell us a bit about your career and why did you leave? What was wrong with it?
Well, I did it a long time. So I started working in campaign politics when I was 14. And in fact, this last November was the first November since I was 14 that I was not a part of something that was on a ballot. And so I decided early on that it was a space that I could get involved and felt like I was making a difference and could pursue passion projects and different avenues that I felt that I could make, change the world and help impact things in a positive way. And so I got really involved very early and stuck with it. I spent 10 years during college and after college on the national level, working on campaigns all across the country. I've worked in a dozen different states, worked with the Obama campaign and US Senate races and all of the things. And then I came back to my little hometown in Loveland, Colorado, and got involved locally quickly and ended up being an elected official myself. So I literally have done it all, consultant, elected official, all the parts. But what I really came to realize is I wasn't going to change the world through systemic change. It wasn't going to happen. The way I was going to change the world was to heal myself and then empower others to heal themselves as well. Because I truly don't believe that we can heal the collective trauma unless we heal our own trauma first. And so I just decided that, continually showing up with the belief that things were going to be different and full well knowing they weren't wasn't going to be how I was going to change the world. So
how did you know? How did you know that it wasn't going to work? What was the key indicators for you? Because we have some people watching as well. Thank you for showing up and thanks for your comments. And really put your comments in the chat about this too. I also worked in the system and accounting and it was connected to the government and I would make suggestions and they would go nowhere. And I see it could be a better way for tax filing. I could see all these better ways, but I really, it was like pushing a rock uphill. What was letting you know that this was going to be a rock uphill kind of job if you ever wanted to change something?
Well, when I was young, I was super idealistic. So I believed that, and I did. I mean, I don't want to discredit. I was part of big movements and big changes and things. But it was a moment a couple years ago when I had truly poured my heart and soul into something that I believed people were listening to. And when push came to shove, and people had a choice to pick differently or keep doing things the same, they ultimately picked to do things the same. Oh. And it was this aha moment where I was like, this isn't going to change. People keep picking what seems like the easiest route in order to, take the path of least resistance. And so it felt like my passion and my broken heart, quite frankly. I mean, my heart was continually broken, especially, locally. I kept showing up for things that I cared about greatly. And at the end, it was, again, ultimately my heart was broken. I put my heart and soul into something that I believed would be good for the community, and it didn't work out. And so, it was that constant thing. And the system's also really good at especially politics, of continually making you guess yourself, right? Like, even if you show up with the purest of intentions, the whole system is set up to make you doubt yourself and make you feel like you're not good enough, and that your validation and your worthiness comes from people externally to you. And as I really started to understand that that's not where my worthiness comes from, or anyone's worthiness, we are worthy just because we are who we are, and our innate and divineness and creativity that's in us is what's powerful. So it was separating that and really understanding that I was enough just because I was.
Right. But and so, like, inside your career, and then having these realizations, what was it that was helping you to have those realizations? Like, were you doing some personal work on the side, or was it just happening? It was just happening. Like, what was really poking you to get to that realization?
Yeah, no, it was a long journey, like 13 years.
Yeah.
So I went on my.
Sorry to interrupt you. How many of you have been on a long journey of change and initiation? I think I'm 48 years here.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's really.
Yeah. 42 years for sure, but no, 13 years ago, I went on my first spiritual journey. To Mexico, which is a place that I now am lucky enough to lead my own retreats and groups of women to on their transformational journeys. But 13 years ago when I went, I knew nothing of spirituality, I didn't believe in anything. I didn't have a connection to the divine at all. And I left there awakened, like believing that there was something. It was, I started to tell you when we were chatting before, like it was the Pandora's box. It had just been slightly opened, and I started to realize that there's something out there. There's something bigger. There's a connection. There's a deeper love. The great Mother Guadalupe, and my connection with her, and the Divine Mother, and that energetic love that you don't have to earn it. It's just there. And so I got this small opening of that on my first journey there. And it was a slow process. It took me 7 years after that to finally, quit my active addiction to alcohol, quit my active addiction to success. And that's when I withdrew from my re-election campaign in politics, very publicly, blowing up my career trajectory and saying, I can't do this. I am drowning. I had, 2 suicide attempts while I was serving on city council. And it was a choice I had to make. Either I kept doing what I was doing and pursuing relentless success to try and fill the voids in me. And then that meant my kids likely didn't have a mother. I mean, the trajectory I was on meant I was not only perpetuating generational trauma, but I was going to make it worse.
I just slow you down for a minute, because there's a lot of important stuff that you're talking about there, like the coping, like with alcohol, in order to keep doing this work, like keep in politics, it was like you needed something to bolster you up to stay in it. And I'm always, I know exactly what you're talking about, because when we're stressed out, when we're in something that is so misaligned with who we really are, it's like we bring in the biggest teachers, alcohol and suicide attempts, to really try and wake ourselves up, to shake ourselves loose. And you saw it, like, and this Mexico trip, this very first Mexico trip, was one of the things that opened you up to seeing it. Is that right?
It definitely started it. And then, it gets worse sometimes before it gets better. But,
yes, I hear you.
And at some point, my husband, who has been, one of my biggest supporters and fans, and he stuck with me through all of that. I mean, he just looked at me and said, is this how you want to live? Like, you as a human, you as a soul, you as a person, this isn't you. You're just you're perpetuating the generational cycles of trauma and addiction. Is that how you want to live? And it was that, that was the moment. It's like, no. And, I'm sure he said that to me many times before, but the moment you hear it and the moment you receive it and you're like, no. And if I don't, I'm likely not going to be here. And not only are my kids going to face new levels of generational trauma and addiction, it's not breaking the cycle. And so I chose differently. And here I am.
Congratulations. I mean, what a bold move. It takes a lot. And I mean, your body was probably talking to you, your intuition was rattling you, everything was showing you the signs, and then you decided to finally hear it, to see it, to wake up to it, to listen to it. And that starts the process. And I don't think there's an end to this process. Like, the journey that you're on, it's just a journey filled with expansion. And it started with a little expansion, that Pandora's box opening, and now it's just like, ooh. And yeah, you can contract, you can backslide and all those types of things, but you're more aware now. You're more aware when you do have a backslide. You're watching yourself. You're like, oh, interesting. I'm smoking again. Like, smoking was my thing.
Yeah. To
keep me doing tax returns and keep my head down during tax season. It's like, oh, I need a smoke break. I got enough. I need a smoke break to get out of there,
Right.
Just watching how it hurt me. It was destroying me. It was taking away my breath.
Quite literally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so tell us a bit more about art, because I know that there's some art in here with your story.
Yeah, so I kind of say my evolution is from politician to painter. Not kind of, it is. And, I've always been creative. My mom was an artist, and my mom is very much a part of my story. When she was here in human form, we didn't have a great relationship, and that was part of the success addiction and the trauma and the trying to prove something all the time. And when she passed away 12 years ago, I really was, as I was building this spiritual connection, she showed up, and she showed up over and over again, and in a way that she wanted to convey how much she loved me and actually supported me. And so the journey of artists is really a fascinating thing, interwoven with, maternal relationships, my relationship with the Divine Mother, my relationship with my own mother, my relationship as a mother to my daughter and my son. And so those are all, intertwined. But, creativity has always been something that's been in me. I've always journaled and drawn and colored and painted to work through things. I just didn't have the words to describe what it was I was doing until just recently. In the last, 10 years. And really that power of accessing mentors and teachers, my teachers and mentors, Emily Greaves and Shiloh Sophia, and through the intentional creativity process, and understanding that by using creativity intentionally, we have the power to create anything we want. I mean, it's turning energy into matter. And I think we get stuck in this idea that we're told we're not creative, or we're told we're not artistic. And so we just put up a wall and don't access it. But the reality is, humans have been creating, even pre-Homo sapiens have been creating things forever. And we are innately creative because we exist. And so the power to use that as a tool to create the life that you want is really what creativity is about for me, and accessing that.
I totally agree with you. Who agrees with Leah? Put it in the comments and tell us about how you're creative in the comments. We'd love to hear that too. I've always been creative as well. And back when I was 20, when I got broke open, like when my Pandora's box broke open, my first boyfriend had drowned, and then I ended up marrying our friend who was a druggie. And I decided to turn inwards. I mean, I just kept listening to my intuition. It was just kept guiding me. And it was just like, start journaling, start doing tarot, start doing a daily practice. And I had no TV. There was dial up on internet. So I had no computer. I had no cell phone. And I found myself reading, writing, drawing, like all types of, getting pastels, getting pencils. Like I did art in school, but it's just like, it started flowing through me.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of artist who doesn't stick with a medium. I kind of move through mediums. Like, I'll do this and then I'll find a new medium. And I'm excited to come to Mexico with you one day and do the medium that you're teaching. But it really opens up your imagination and does remind us that we are creators. Yes. We are source. We are the creator. Like we are the creator as well. It's all connected. Absolutely.
And you have the power. I mean, so often I feel like we use excuses that are convenient. Like time and money are big ones, right? But the reality is, like, we use those excuses so we don't have to access and or confront the trauma or the things that we don't want to feel and we don't want to experience. And then also it's the same thing as then you don't have to access your creativity. If I don't have time to sit down and do it, then that's the excuse. But I think the more we get away from those kind of superficial excuses and truly like dig into this idea, like, what does freedom for you look like? What would you do if, time and money and all of the demands that life has on you were no longer a thing? What would you do? What would that look like? And then imagine that life and build it. And that's what I've been doing for the last 6 years, really, is very intentionally looking at the life I want to create and creating it. And it's amazing how when you put yourself out there, and I always say, I live in the world as I want it to be, not as it actually is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I'm overtly aware of how the world is. I worked in politics for 25 years.
Nothing changed since you left. It probably got worse.
Yeah. No, I know. But by living in that world, I'm not creating the world I want. Like, if I keep living in the world as it is, I'm not creating the world as I want it to be. And so, yes. And that's our power. Like, we can show up in the world as we want it to be and create that world. And,
yes. We just have to believe it too. Like, I mean, it, I know that, but so many people don't know that. Right. And it's just, we have to keep telling your story, my story. We keep having to remind each other that, yes, you can create it, because it's easy to get sucked into an old thought form when you're hanging around people who are in that old thought form. So like, if you didn't leave that political job and you still tried to do this on the side, it would have been really difficult, because you keep going back into that frequency of where they don't believe the same thing you believe.
Yes.
So it was like necessary for you to take a big leap and get out of there too.
Oh, yeah. For my full evolution to really go into the next level, I had to break ties and move on. Absolutely. And sometimes you have to do that. And this whole thing about quitting, and like, we have this thing in our society that like quitting becomes failure, or quitting, like there's guilt associated with it. Sometimes things just run their course. Like sometimes it's time to move on, and that's okay. And we don't give ourselves permission to quit. We don't give ourselves permission to not do the things we're supposed to do. We don't give ourselves permission to say, you know what? My priority is myself and my family, and I'm going to show up for them first, and then everything else second. And when you start doing that, when you start intentionally creating a life based on what truly brings you joy and happiness, and being, over the top about setting boundaries, it's amazing what you can create. But it takes an awareness, and it takes courage to say, like, I don't want to do it like I have been doing it anymore.
Yes, it does take courage, and it takes a commitment, and you have to decide, that I'm, even before you make the leap and you do quit, because I quit. I had a quitting day as well too. And I had to do prep work. Like, I started working in training and sales and marketing so I could at least sales and market myself when I did quit, right?
Yeah.
Accounting and politics, you don't really need learned all about that because you built campaigns or whatever, but I didn't. In accounting, is recession proof. You don't really need to be very good at sales and marketing. Everybody needs you, right? And so I just was loving this permission thing too. Yesterday, I'm working on my last layer of my book, Finding the Source, which I've been working on for 3 years. Like,
yeah,
it's my first book out of 3 that are coming. And I finally got back to it, and I'm just feeling so excited about it. And I'm looking at my old stories and everything, but there's a teaching that's coming through. And yesterday, I just was like feeling like, wow, I can't believe I wrote this. Like, because you are away from it so long, you're like, oh, I wrote this.
Yeah, I do know that for sure.
My artistic medium right now. And so then I made this little thing for myself, and it's around permission. I just want to share it with you. It's like, I am the proof. Like, I don't need to prove myself to anybody. I don't have to explain why I decided to quit and why that ran its course. It's like, no, I'm the proof, and my power needs no permission, was my new quote that I came up with yesterday, just to help me keep going, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And believing in myself. It's like, my power needs no permission. Yeah. And so we're getting close to time here, but tell us a bit about this Mexico trip that you take women on that can maybe break somebody open and give them a crack into what they really want, into their creativity, into their imagination.
Yeah. So I take groups of women to Teotihuacan, Mexico, which is outside of Mexico City. It's a week long and we go around the ancient pyramids of Teotihuacan, which the wisdom that is there and the magical power is it's phenomenal. The healing energy, the transcendence, all of it. And so we spend time in and around the pyramids. We have intentional creativity prompts every day while we're out exploring, as well as in the evening, paint and really access that idea of turning the energy of the experience into matter and turning it into something that's beautiful and something that you can grow. And that's a portal to your own healing and your own ability to access that at any time. We also take a day pilgrimage into Mexico City to the Tilma of Guadalupe, as well as Frida Kahlo's house, who is the mother of intentional creativity. And the whole experience culminates with a hot air balloon ride over the pyramids. So it's really an opportunity to go into the mother in a way that is warm and welcoming and loving, in a circle of women, to empower your creativity and connect to everything we've been talking about inside of you, and really release heavy things that have been holding you back. So it's and then we stay at this amazing place. My dear friend Emily Greaves has this lovely little retreat center that's intentionally curated with love and the most amazing food, and you're taken care of. And it's a week to connect to yourself. So
yeah, I'm really hoping I can go. And you do it a couple times a year, don't you?
Yes, I do. So, but I have one coming up in July, and I'm doing a special right now for $300 off the last couple spots. So if you're called, let me know. I would love to fill those last couple spots with some folks who feel that energy calling them, so they too can experience it and access. You know, for me, it's about finding fantastic joy, and you can do it.
Yeah.
I promise, because I know I did it.
And you have a book called Finding Fantastic Joy as well.
Yes, that was my first books. Yes.
Yes. So. And do you have another book that's out already?
It's on its way. It's
okay, perfect.
Going into developmental edit as we speak. So
awesome. And so I will put the links to the Mexico trip and to the book, Finding Fantastic Joy, in the comments on the platform that you're watching right after we get off this live. And take it seriously, like opportunities to do something to empower yourself with other women is a very, like, it's like a growth opportunity. We were talking earlier, you were saying like people like to stay the same. They don't like to make the change. Yeah. And it's time or money that like holds them back from it, or comfort. It's really the comfort zone.
Yeah.
And, you know, step over the comfort zone. If it resonates with you a little bit, like if you're intrigued just a little bit, go to the link, check it out some more. Even if you have more questions, reach out to Leah and ask more questions about it, because you only live once. And those pyramids are like, those people, they were creators. They were creators. They created this fantastic power spot to help you become more powerful. Like, that's what I do a lot of, is I go on these pilgrimages to power spots, because you get more powerful when you go there. And that's exactly what you're going to do when you go to Teotihuacan. I'm finally saying it right, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is you are the artist of your own life. What do you want to create? Yeah. And, you know, set excuses aside, you can figure it out. I promise. You know, like it's about setting the intention to make it happen.
Oh yeah. And Paul is telling us in the comments.
Paula just went in February. So
yeah. Maybe she's gonna go again. I think you create an art piece too, right? Like when we go on the trip with you, we create a piece of art as well.
Yes. Yeah. So you do a painting, and you know, sometimes people are like, I haven't picked up a paintbrush in 20 years or 30 years. And the idea is no art skills required, and you don't have to. We have this expectation that if we paint, we have to create a masterpiece every time, or like if we write something, it has to be a bestseller. Like, allowing ourselves to be in the moment, to create, simply to create, is where the power is. And so that takes a lot to release that, and that expectation of like, well, if I'm going to paint, I need it to, you know, be able to hang on my wall. Well, you know, maybe it lays on the bottom as a portal for you to always access, but remembering it's the act of creating that is what's powerful, not always the outcome. So
I love that. The act of creating is what is powerful, not the outcome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So thank you everyone for coming live and watching today. And I know you're going to enjoy this recording, and check out the Mexico trip and Leah's book, Finding Fantastic Joy. So we'll see you again next week. Talk to you soon. Thank you for coming as well, Lou.
Thanks for having me, Jennifer.